Lots to get to on a Thursday edition of Orange and Blue today. It is Cecil Lammy and Andrew Mason. And Mase, you got to see some practice today for the Denver Broncos. I'm so jealous, brother.
There's one thing we're missing, though, Cease.
I know, my computer's froze.
There we go.
There you go. See, coming through.
Yes. We need some canned rock music. Make us all feel good as you see that little slide there of Bo Nix throwing this to RJ Harvey. By the way, that is not an NFL Films trick of editing. I actually did shoot Bo Nix and then quickly turn and then shoot RJ Harvey catching the ball there. So that's the same pass. So
okay,
really quick before they said shoot something else, because sometimes they'll be like, okay, then you can't shoot that part, and then you guys shoot another area of the field. So, but yeah, Bo Nix to RJ Harvey. Wasn't the last time we saw that combination working. I gotta master the art of bringing that down,
sliding it down
there, right. And then
there we go.
And then we take the slide off, and then there we are. Hi, there's Cecil. Mase here. Yeah, we did see the Bo Nix to RJ Harvey combination working today. Working downfield. It looked pretty good today.
All right. Well, tell me more.
Little moment to be excited late in practice when we saw that thing working. You know, got the wheels turning a little bit in the offense, so to speak.
Okay. And if you're grinning from ear to ear, imagine what Sean Payton was thinking, putting that thing together and then seeing it executed on the field.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And not just with RJ Harvey, too. I mean, hey, can make some good puns as well. It's not just Jaleel McLaughlin, it's Jaweel McLaughlin, dare we say.
Okay. All right. How much work? Let's start with Jaleel there, because I did talk to Zach Bye and Philip Lindsay, who were out there watching practice with you, and they said Jaleel didn't get as many opportunities, and Tyler Bidet getting coaches' comments and perhaps more opportunities with J.K. Dobbins kind of swirling around as of this recording. They have not yet signed Dobbins. Let's talk about these running backs to start.
Yeah, well, so as it goes on, I mean, I think first of all, you've got Dre Greenlaw over on a side field and Blake Watson side field as well. So you were down, so you're got J.K. Dobbins potentially coming in. They're going to have the visit at some point today. He's in town. They were going to visit later. Sean Payton saying, hey, it's not, they just want to potentially add to the room. They want to take a look, that sort of thing. But it was interesting to see Sean Payton talking up Tyler Bidet, also seeing Jaleel McLaughlin. I mean, they were working him in. They were definitely working in Tyler Bidet, but they were definitely working Jaleel McLaughlin in as well. So I think with Jaleel, kind of what we've been talking about, he's kind of in that separate category where he's almost his own entity, kind of, having that sort of situational use. It seems that's sort of where he may be in that box. He may be fitting in that box a little bit. And then Bidet kind of factors in potentially as someone who's more of an all-around back who could be a backup in there, in that rotation. But definitely it was another good day for RJ Harvey all around. Obviously you want to see what happens when the pads go on, and you want to see what he's going to do in pass pro. But as you're looking at these running backs, if you're saying, okay, why are they bringing in RJ Harvey? It doesn't look to me like this was a referendum on or J.K. Dobbins. Why would they bring in J.K. Dobbins? Pardon me. It doesn't seem to me this is a referendum on RJ Harvey.
Okay. What is
based on how they were using Harvey today?
Estime, who was taking handoffs from Sam Ehlinger. It's OTAs. I'm not going to read too much into it. Again, I wasn't there. Super peanut butter and jealous.
Yeah.
But Audric Estime, and again, my conversation with Mike Kliss was like, he wasn't saying it either, but he just said, hey, Estime was working and taking handoffs from Sam Ehlinger. Tyler Bidet's making plays. McLaughlin's making plays. Harvey's making plays. J.K. Dobbins in the building, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it's maybe not what you want if you're Estime.
I would say this though, we know that Sean Payton rotates guys around from day to day. And we also know this is the only day of work we saw. Remember last year how he rotated quarterbacks? And okay, maybe we saw a Zach Wilson day.
Right.
So it's the one thing I would say, sometimes you want to be a little bit cautious in how you regard the rotations. Because, and we've talked about this, he does move players around and up and down the rotation and up and down the depth chart. So sometimes you want to have a little bit of trepidation before coming to any deep conclusions. That being said, when you see things multiple weeks, then I think you can draw something. So I would say maybe draw something next week if you see it. I want to see how they align and how they're used next week before I come to more of a conclusion on the running back position, at least in regards to Estime. I think what we see with RJ Harvey, the use was pretty consistent week to week. So I think we've got a pretty good idea where things are trending with him. It was pretty consistent, Jaleel McLaughlin, week to week. So I think we've got a pretty good idea with him as well. So, and also with Jaleel, there's the 2-year sample size as well. So this is another thing when we're talking about, okay, is the interesting J.K. Dobbins, who is it driven by? And I know it was brought up yesterday. Oh, is this bad news for Jaleel McLaughlin? Remember, they've got 2 years of sample size on Jaleel McLaughlin. You're not going to make a decision to bring in somebody based on seeing something with Jaleel McLaughlin in OTAs when you've had 2 years of work with him, 2 full off seasons. And oh, by the way, there were stretches in the back half of last year when clearly he was the running back that the coaches trusted the most. So you kind of put things together and say, okay, what is the most likely conclusion based on the facts in front of us, based on what we have? It's probably leaning towards something on Estime. And again, when you see that, so when you see the use today, it's fairly easy to conclude based on what we saw that this is the direction it's going in. So I do sort of see it.
Yeah, we're putting a pin in it. And again, doing a pre-record right after practice. So Mase and I can both get down to Coors Field for the Healthy Swings event. We'll be bringing plenty of information and interviews from that event over the next few days of this show. It is Orange and Blue today. Did Devon Vele look as good as last week? Like who did what they did last week in terms of standing out and then kind of stamp that again today, starting with Vele?
Devon Vele did look good. Marvin Mims had a very good day today. I thought a better day than he did last week. But I think also some of it, you're talking about situations. What are they doing today? Today, more of a third down day. And third downs, sometimes that's going to, give certain players more opportunities to shine. Someone like Marvin Mims Jr. getting some more open space to work with on a third down, that's going to favor him. And it gives Mims a chance to sort of build off of what he did the back half of last season, when the Broncos really seemed to figure things out once they started giving him some backfield alignments, starting with the Kansas City game in November, getting him some extra opportunities by handing him the ball, getting him more involved, seemed to turn things on for him. Sean Payton talking about Marvin Mims Jr. after practice today. Here's what he had to say.
I've said this to you before. Confidence is born out of demonstrated ability, and you guys have done this long enough. You've seen athletes grow up right in front of your eyes. And that began not just at the end of the season. That began early part of the middle season. So you could see it and certainly feel it now.
I like it.
Yep. Another guy who had a good day today. I thought Troy Franklin had some flashes as well. With him, now with Mims, Vele, Cortland Sutton, they're making plays farther down the field. Troy Franklin, it's more you're seeing closer to the line of scrimmage, setting him up and then watching him kind of navigate and then do a lot more after the catch. So maybe Troy Franklin becomes, evolves into maybe more of a tunnel screen type of guy. Right. Perhaps that's something that maybe becomes a way that you unlock him a little bit. So something maybe to watch for here with Franklin is, do you figure out one thing that he does really well and then it becomes the launching pad to more, in much the same way that figuring something out with Marvin Mims Jr. became the launching pad to an expanded menu? That's something to kind of consider as we talk about Franklin in year 2. Like, okay, get one thing down, one specialty, and then, okay, can you move beyond that? Can you add more to that? Now, that being said, opportunities have to be there. And right now, as we're seeing how these things are developing, Devon Vele simply has more on his menu right now that he can execute, that he can do, than Troy Franklin. So right, Devon Vele is going to get more opportunities. Vele simply is setting himself up for more opportunities, a greater range of routes, a greater range of options. Doing very well running routes, by the way. This is something that's really exciting. I mean, Vele, he's very much looking like he can really be that Tim Patrick type, that guy who gets you about 50 receptions, 600, 750 yards, 6-7 touchdowns. Like, he really looks like he can settle into that type of role, be very consistent for you.
Yeah, I like that, Mason. I like the fact that we're both excited about Pat Bryant, but it's Devon Vele that's saying, hold off, kid.
Yeah,
I got this.
Well, the more options you have, the better. I mean, you want to have depth, right? The other thing to consider also is, if you keep liking the Pat Bryant development, if he continues to work well in practice, so then you have more options. What happens with Cortland Sutton? By the way, we still haven't seen A.T. Perry out there this offseason so far. So
right. Yeah, not good for A.T. Perry.
Yeah, like
not good that Blake Watson's on the side field. And with Trey Greenlaw, we knew that was going to be the case. So
yes. Yeah. By the way, Talanoa Hufanga did have an interception today.
Okay.
Off of Bo Nix.
Okay.
It was very late in practice, toward the end. I'm going to go through my notes here. I always say I want to get the description right. So, he's looking for Troy Franklin. In my opinion, the play would have come back under game conditions. Looked to me like Riley Moss held on the play.
Okay.
So I don't believe this would have stood up. So just take it with a grain of salt. But Hufanga did have a pick, was a pick 6 in the moment. It was a very, very interesting period. It was the last team period of the day. And for the first team, this was a moment that saw it started with some great work in the passing game for the running backs. The first 2 plays for the offense in this period, explosives, Bo Nix hitting running backs out of the backfield. First, Jaleel McLaughlin, and this is why I had to kind of do a little pushback on what kind of, you mentioned Zach talking about with Jaleel McLaughlin not being emphasized. Well, actually, Jaleel McLaughlin making a big play right out of the blocks in this period with Bo Nix, and then RJ Harvey following that up. And Bo Nix, he was under pressure from Nick Benito, and then he found RJ Harvey down the left side for a big play. It was about 50-yard touchdown, I believe, there. Yes.
Yeah. Chef's kiss, right?
Of course, at the same time, you're excited about the offense. But hey, defense has got to make a play. Defense is it's a little bit of busted there as well.
Yeah, the defense tough as nails though, so it's not surprising. Halafunga is going to get a couple of those. That's for sure.
Yes. So the interception again, the hold there looked like a hold to me. but and I wasn't the only one. A couple other people thought that was a hold as well.
So Mase held Franklin.
Yeah, looked like
Okay.
he did. Yeah.
All right. And we're gonna give that Harvey play because
Yes.
my computer unfroze.
Yeah.
The ultimate compliment on this show.
There we go.
Mhm.
We haven't used that one in a minute, have we?
In a while, but
Yes.
hey, do you like Huey Lewis?
Yeah. You like Phil Collins?
Yeah. There you go. There you go. I like hearing your reports about OTAs. Defensively, I know that DJ Jones was at the podium, correct, Mase? So,
DJ Jones at the podium. So we're gonna
Yeah.
we're gonna just check in on him in a minute. First of all, though, the star of the day on defense was Q Robinson. Whew. Oh boy. Man alive.
talk to me.
Oh, okay. Woo. All right. Where do we begin here? We're going to go with the first team period here. So he's working with the two. So it's the Jarrett Stidham 4 plays where he's quarterbacking. Just first play pressure gets past Alex Palczewski, blows it up. Also, Savion Jones in there with pressure. Second play reads a draw play to RJ Harvey. Harvey gets up the middle, but Robinson had that one on missile lock. He could have blown it up if it had been game conditions. Third play of the period, pressure off the edge. Fourth play ends in a drop by Michael Bandy, but pressure forces a scramble. Might have been a sack in game conditions. Blows it up, okay? So 4 consecutive plays, 2s versus 2s. Q Robinson, a force on all of them. Cease. 4 for 4 that he blew up.
Nice.
There was some good work today from Johnny Walker Jr.
Of course.
The next round of team period for the 2s, you also saw Dondrea Tillman following up very good work last week with another good day this week. There was one play he just came off the edge and it was a sack. I mean, basically done. Like Jarrett Stidham was done. No chance. He was coming off the left side. It was a strip sack fumble waiting to happen in game conditions. But another period where you had a pressure coming from that guy again, Q Robinson, right? So you had that period. That next period for team period. You had a pressure and a sack from Dondrea Tillman, and you had another pressure from Q Robinson. So Jonah Ellis, by the way, over on the side field, of course, because he had the injury back in the Buffalo game, right? The depth at edge is looking really, really strong, man.
Looking nice.
We'll see what happens when the pads go on, but Q Robinson is looking really sharp. And we always talk about stacking days. Again, we don't see the other days, but this is 2 days we've seen. The 2 days we've seen that Dondrea Tillman has brought it. And it stacks on the work last year we saw when Dondrea Tillman became one of the more efficient edge rushers in generating sacks and pressures based on the number of pass rush snaps that he had. One of the more efficient edge rushers in the league. He was a top 20 edge rusher in pressure rate and sack rate. So there's something there with him. And I think there may be something there with Q Robinson as well. I mean, I have to say, I'll admit, I didn't necessarily like the pick. I would have still liked the tight end a little bit more. But he's looking all right. Q Robinson's looking like he might be a keeper there at edge.
Well, and if he's catching the attention of DJ Jones, Mase,
yes.
I mean, we always talk about ball knows ball.
Yes.
Yeah, guys aren't going to throw around compliments just willy-nilly here.
So let's go to this sequence here from DJ Jones. First thing is I asked him about Savion Jones because, of course, he's on the defensive line. And so he has a comp, talks about Savion Jones. And I kind of I do a follow-up on Savion Jones. And then DJ is asked about Q Robinson, kind of in the same vein. So the questions are a little soft because there's no mic on them. So just to kind of, so it's going to be a little bit of a struggle to hear. I'm going to warn you. But first things first, I asked him about Savion Jones, then my follow-up, and then the question about Q Robinson. Here's what DJ Jones had to say today after practice. Take a listen.
He'll be special one day. He's young right now. He's eager to learn, but he'll be very special one day.
What makes him have the capability to be special?
He's got length. He loves to learn, and he played in the SEC. Same. I mean, SEC guy, played against high competition, just strong, as you can see. But, I mean, they both have the ability to be great.
I love that about Savion Jones. He loves to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We picked that up just from talking to him.
Yes.
I mean, he's one of those players that's just a sponge of like information and learning and honing his craft.
Got in this notebook twice today with pressures, by the way.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the get off. It's the strength.
Yeah.
It's the length. It's the hustle that he has. They got it. They got a real one in Savion Jones.
Yeah. It might be real tough for a guy like Enyi Awazarike to make the roster. And Enyi did have a pressure today, but there's going to be a squeeze there. Awazarike, Jordan Jackson, Jones has taken a spot from somebody, and I think he's going to play. He looks like somebody who's going to have a rotational role and get meaningful snaps right away. And he's probably upgrading one of the rotational spots immediately. Remember that I wasn't kidding when I watched rookie minicamp, and I said, to me, he looks like Malik Jackson, but he looks like where Malik was about the middle of year 2 of his career. So where does Savion Jones end up looking by the end of this year if he's getting those snaps? I mean, he's the length. And that's another thing. I'm glad DJ talked about the length, because I think that's one of the things that kind of popped in my mind when I kind of flash back to Malik, is how long he is.
Right.
The size and the length. Like he does have a very similar frame to Malik. And of course, they're both SEC guys to kind of play off that. It's funny, by the way, to hear DJ talking about that, because DJ is a Clemson guy. He's not an SEC guy. Although I think Clemson sort of thinks they should be in the SEC. Like they're stuck in the ACC, but they believe they're an SEC school almost. You know what I'm saying? Like they kind of believe that they're an SEC team that just happens to be in the ACC. But I digress.
Yeah, they'll be all right. May says we have to cut our show off here to go to the Healthy Swings event. Is there anything to wrap it up you want to highlight from the second week of OTAs?
Well, I always got to talk about the punter, right? I got to talk about Jeremy Crawshaw, because he started off with a little bit of a low line drive today, and then he just started launching some absolute missiles out there. The last 5 punts he had, 4 of them were north of 5 seconds of hang time, and the one that wasn't was just under at like 4.85. Like I think this kid's going to be really good. Like, and as I was telling somebody today, the thing I want and hope for is that, sometimes you want to say, okay, get in a direction, blah, blah, blah. Like, I hope that we see that this coverage team is good enough to where if they're backed up 10, 15 yard line or something like that, just tell them, okay, kick the crap out of the ball. Yeah, you can kind of go in one direction to kind of cut off part of the field, but just kick the crap out of that and flip the freaking field. Give us a 65, 68 yard blast that just stays in the air forever. And, we'll take the chance. Maybe, if if it gets a bounce, maybe gets a good roll, maybe this thing can really flip the field. But just take advantage of the fact that this guy clearly has the driver in his bag. I mean, he was firing some moonshots today. Yeah, the Crawshaw could be a very special punter here. He might be special. I mean, so I know there was a lot of like hand wringing over picking a punter. Oh, should you do that? I really want to see the Broncos actually get punter right and really have somebody who can, when you need to, sometimes change the game. I mean, I think back to that game again, that 22 game in Tennessee when basically the Broncos lost the game because of Ryan Stonehouse flipping the field on them. It'd be nice to have a weapon. It's another way to win a game. I mean, why would you turn down as many ways to win a game as possible? Because sometimes you need to do that, right? Hey, if you can win a game because your punter just uncorks some missiles down the field, okay? Hey, what if that takes you from 11 wins to 12 wins? That might be the difference in winning the division, right? So anyway, I also got to give a shout out to Nick Benito. Really good day. A lot of pressures from him today. I'm looking back here. One team period had a couple of pressures on Bo Nix, and one of them made sure he forced it to where there was no throw as well. So nice job today by Nick Benito jumping in the notebook as well. Let's see here. Hey, your guy Lucas Kroll had a catch. Had a couple
of course he did.
Yes. Lucas Kroll, springtime star, baby. Nice day out there, Nice day of practice. Like I said, good third down day. Peyton Manning on hand earlier this week. Champ Bailey was out there. Peyton just likes watching ball. Will Lutz hitting upright on one of his kicks, so he wasn't perfect today. So Garrett Bowles not out there today. So, and I think it's actually notable today. Garrett Bowles not out there, so we saw Frank Crum getting the reps there at left tackle. So
okay,
a bit of a look at him. I think just kind of wanting to see. I think see how far he's come. I asked Peyton about him after practice. He talked a lot about his quickness and footwork. So they're still really intrigued with Frank Crum. I think they're still really high on Frank Crum. So
they should be. Yeah.
Kind of tuck that in your back pocket as well. We'll probably talk a little bit more about Frank Crum when we do our offensive line preview heading into training camp, because they're still really intrigued by this kid. So the raw tools, and you and I talked about this, like last year we could see in the preseason, boy, a long way to go, but he's one to watch as we get into training camp when the pads go on, because I really want to see where he looks, how much more settled he is, because he's country strong and he's got quick feet and can't coach those things.
Well, and when Bo Nix threw out the first pitch at the Rockies game, Frank Crum was with him. Frank
Crum is everywhere Bo Nix is in the offseason. Like
that's not nothing. It's not everything, but it's not nothing.
Yes. Wherever Bo is, Frank's never far away. And that's just, again, another thing you put in your back pocket.
Okay.
To just in the back, your back pocket, the back of your mind, just to know, another thing you always put in the notebook is that the notebook here. I should show the actual notes, not the blank page. The notes is that wherever Bo is, number 73, Frank Crum seems to be.
Well, wherever the Broncos are, Andrew Mason is, that's for sure. We talk about it on Orange and Blue today. But Mace, wherever YouTube's at, I'm feverishly trying to get the algorithm in our favor. How can folks help us do that?
Like,
comment,
share,
subscribe,
hit that notification bell,
so that you
never
miss a vid. That's right. He's Andrew Mason. You follow him on all the socials at Mace Denver. I'm at Cecil and Mase saying OBT's a BFD. Thanks for watching, everyone. Stay tuned, and would you please stay frosty?